Welcome back to the channel. This is Trinity Storm and you are watching 7th part of What If Naruto Found Hidden Lab in Waves. If you enjoy this video, please like, share and subscribe to the channel. Now wasting no more time, let's start the story.
Konoha Stadium is located in the Konoha Shinobi area. Naruto is making a pleading motion with his hands, attempting to calm the enraged Inuzuka. Come on Hana-chan. Even you have to admit it was pretty funny, especially when you dived for the pig and missed it because it went through your legs and ran through a pile of your dirty clothes and came out with one of your bras attached to its tail. Then you had to chase it through the compound, and it just rained the night before and the ground was all muddy. Hana's face turned a new shade of red that none of them had seen before. Hanabi smiles as he looks at Hinata. I had no idea anyone could turn that red, not even you Hinata-chan. Even when you got out of the hospital bed to use the restroom and Naruto saw your buttocks because you didn't close the back of your gown. Kurenai put her hand over her mouth to try not to laugh when she heard this. Knowing what that must have been like for the girl she saw as her daughter, she lost it and began laughing at Hinata's reaction. Hinata grabbed a bucket of popcorn and dumped it on her sister's head, her face flushed. With Aisha falling to her knees and sobbing over her lost popcorn. Hana became even angrier when she was reminded of this humiliating memory. As she jumped on top of Naruto and began to pummel her little brother in the only way a big sister can, everyone around him began to laugh, ignoring his cries for help. Nariko and Aisha were both laughing and cheering her on for making suggestions like giving him noogie. No, give him a wet willy. Then both girls exchanged glances before breaking out in grins and chanting wedgie, wedgie, wedgie. Naruto rolls over on his back and looks at them. Hey, you little traitors, why aren't you helping me? Aisha responds by puffing out her non-existent chest. As you know, big brother, we women have to band together and make sure all you men stay where you're supposed to be, which is in line, because we women are way smarter than you men. Naruto then directs his gaze at Yoshino. Stop trying to corrupt her, he said to himself, thinking that it was bad enough when mom was doing it, but now it's her. Yoshino is whistling innocently while concealing an evil grin. Naruto freezes as he tries to push Hana off of him, realizing his hands are on her breasts. Despite lacking the typical Inuzuka features, Hana gives Naruto a feral grin. I had no idea you wanted to be that close little brother, Naruto says as he quickly removes his hands and places them at his side. Hana, who is now sitting on Naruto's stomach, leans in and whispers in his ear. You know Naruto-kun, I've seen you as my little brother since I first met you that night, but technically speaking we're not really brother and sister by blood, and I've got to admit you would make a fine mate. As you know, we Inuzuka women love strong males, and I don't think mom would mind me looking outside of the pack if I found such a strong specimen of a mate like you. And just so you know you owe. Naruto stands up and watches as she walks over to her mother and speaks to her. Sume gives Naruto a look he doesn't like. Then Kiba walks towards him with an angry look in his eyes, but he's grabbed by his sister, so he improves his hearing and listens in on their conversation. Conversation. Hana snarls.
What the hell is the issue, runt?
Kiba turns to face his sister. I'm not letting that dope go out on a date with my sister, and I also saw the way he grabbed your chest. Despite her normal appearance, Hana looked more feral than usual at that moment, and she brings them face to face. Listen to me, runt, who I go out with is none of your business. If I want to go out on a date with Naruto-kun, that's my business, and him grabbing my chest was an accident.
But what if he tries to go further? You know Inuzuka women aren't allowed to go outside the pack looking for a mate, Kiba growls.
What happens after the date is between me and him. Whether he walks me home or we go for a round in the sheets is our decision and only ours. You have no choice in this matter, Hana said vehemently. Present. With a blush, Naruto shakes it off and stops listening to their conversation. He would admit that he always found Hana attractive. She was one of the girls who always treated him well. Suddenly, Tenten grabs Naruto by the front of his jacket. Please let me see your sword. I need to see it right now. Please Naruto, just let me see your sword, I'll do anything, Tenten exclaimed. If you want, you can even polish it. Naruto tries hard not to laugh. That's a daring request, Tenten, to have me draw my sword right here. Especially in this crowd with all these women. Not only am I the head of 2 clans, but I am also the daimyo of Whirlpool, with a smile, he said. Tenten jumped backwards, waving her hands, that is not what I meant. Please give me a chance. I promise it is not what I meant. When she finished speaking, the entire room burst out laughing. Ino approaches her, you made a very audacious request of him. I doubt any of the Sasuke fangirls would have attempted that approach. Sume and the other clan wives all look at Tenten with a predator-like grin, saying, if you're going to try and get that close to Naruto, you're going to have to go through us, and you're not making a good first impression asking him to take out his sword in public. Tenten went into a tailspin of trying to apologize and explain herself, while Anko and Yoruichi stand off to the side, laughing their heads off, and Nemu tries to hide a glare she's sending at Tenten. Aisha turns to face Nariko, do you understand what they're saying? I don't know, all adults seem strange to me, Nariko shakes her head. Naruto does nothing but shake his head, I have to return. If you're good, I might give you a personal look at my sword. Naruto then vanishes with a wink, leaving a red-faced Tenten laughing. You're a bad influence on him, Yoshino says as he shoves Anko. Contestants box. Naruto appears in the box and walks up to stand next to Shikamaru and Shino after creating several shadow clones to go collect his bets and place new ones. You just have to cause trouble and always be the center of attraction, Naruto, can't you ever do anything the easy way? Shikamaru shakes his head.
Naruto turns to face Shikamaru. Shikamaru, I know you're always the laid-back type, but you have to understand that being a shinobi isn't just a title you carry into battle, it's also a burden you have to carry every day.
If we don't operate at our absolute best, what right do we have to ask our comrades to entrust us with their lives? And if we fail, we are not only failing ourselves, but also all of our comrades, and we will have to be the ones to return home, look their families in the eyes, and tell them that we were unable to protect them. So I spent the last month thinking a lot. Shikamaru cuts Naruto off. What have Ino and I told you about thinking without supervision, Naruto, you know that's dangerous, especially with your brain. Naruto gets a tick mark on his brow, coming from a slacker like you. Anyway, I've decided to stop hiding behind my mask. And I'm going to show my comrades that I have the power to protect them and that they can put their trust in me. Very well said Uzumaki-san, Shino says, pushing up his sunglasses. Unbeknownst to them, they were being watched by an Anbu Black Ops tram with orders to keep an eye on the contestants and make sure they did not fight with a certain Neko-masked Anbu acting as team captain and hiding a smile behind her mask. Arena. The next fight is about to begin. Will Uchiha Sasuke and Gaara please come to the arena? Gaara appears in a swirl of sand. Sasuke Uchiha, please come to the arena, you have 2 minutes to appear before you are disqualified. Genma looks up at the Hokage booth after the 2-minute deadline. Hokage stand. I will not be playing favorites, Hiruzen says, holding down the brim of his hat. The Kazekage looks at him before he can give the signal. We can give him an extension, surely, because a lot of important people came to see this fight between my son and the last Uchiha. Hiruzen does nothing but shake his head, I'm sorry, but if we can't trust him to be on time, how can we trust him to complete a mission with a deadline? Please do not address me as Shirley, as amazing and annoying, as Naruto has been recently, his attitude seemed to be rubbing off on him a little. But was that good or bad, though he did love the look of confusion on the Kazecage's face. Arena. When Gaara returns to the contestant box, Genma sees the signal and says, due to Sasuke Uchiha not appearing, he is hereby disqualified and the winner is Gaara. Surprisingly, only a few people in the crowd begin to boo in disappointment at not getting to see Sasuke fight. We will now proceed to the next fight. Would Shino Aburame and Kankuro of the Hidden Sand Village please come to the arena? Genma said, but before Shino could move, Kankuro called out that he forfeited. Shino is the winner of the next round as a result of Kankuro's forfeit. The next round is about to begin. Please come to the arena, Shikamaru and Temari. While Temari is riding her fan down to the arena, Naruto notices Shikamaru about to raise his hand and tells him, don't even think about it. He then kicks him in the buttocks, sending him over the edge of the balcony to the ground below. Kankuro takes a look at Naruto, wasn't that a little excessive? That woman could scare off one of the tailed beasts with her glares, Naruto shivers. But that's most of the women of the Leaf Village. Kankuro goes white and begins to sweat heavily. But that's most of the women of the Leaf Village, Naruto laughs, then suddenly Naruto senses a presence behind him and looks back to see Shino. I'll make sure to tell her you said that, Uzumaki-san, Shino said, his smirk hidden beneath his collar. Naruto had to admit that watching Shikamaru and Temari fight was entertaining, and Shikamaru was able to catch her in his shadow possession jutsu, but then forfeited the match, claiming it was too difficult to continue. The crowd began to cheer and clap. After speaking with an Anbu, Genma walks to the center of the arena and calls out, "Can I please have the remaining 4 contestants come to the center of the arena?" Naruto, Temari, Shino, and Gaara appear a few moments later. Normally we would have you continue with a normal bracket, but due to 2 of the shinobi not appearing and 1 forfeit, we are now going to draw new names. Are you both prepared? Temari gave a nod. I need to do something before we continue with this match, Naruto said to Temari. I'm sorry, but I'm allergic to sake, and while I would not normally disregard a family tradition, I cannot accept the sake, Temari says, giving him a small bow. Naruto simply smiles, that's fine, and I appreciate your informing me, but that's not what I meant. During the month of training, I learned about a black market auction and stopped it with the help of a friend. There were numerous treasures to be found. Just to be sure, you're Temari, the Wind Mistress of the Hidden Sand Village, eldest daughter of Karora, formerly known as the Wind Enchantress of the Sand Village, Naruto says as he releases a storage seal, revealing a clipboard. Temari nods, yes, she was my mother. May I inquire as to why you're interested in this? Her response was the release of another seal, and when the smoke cleared, Naruto was standing there holding a tray with 2 black and gold hand fans laying on a red cloth. Temari, I return these artifacts to you with great honor. I give you your mother's battle fans, which I stole from her grave. Temari covered her mouth with both hands as tears streamed down her face when she saw the fans, Naruto said. Naruto recalls finding these among the auction spoils and learning that they came from the Hidden Sand Village, so he sent Yoruichi in to learn everything she could about this Karora and learn that she was the mother of the Sand siblings, so he decided to return the battle fans to her daughter in front of the audience. Temari approaches Naruto slowly and takes the tray. Thank you so much, Uzumaki-san. You have no idea how much this means to me and what these fans mean to me in my village. Please let me know if there is any way I can repay you. Naruto simply smiles, promise me you will not use them in our fight. Treasures like these should not be used, but cherished. Temari nods, tears streaming down her cheeks. It was a mixed reaction of emotions from people from all over the elemental nations, especially those who came from the land of wind or the Sand Village, who were shocked to find out that Naruto had returned one of their most precious treasures that had been stolen, that they were easily worth a fortune to the right collector, and that all he asked in return was that she not use them in the fight. Temari stands across from Naruto after putting her mother's fans away. Don't think just because you gave my mother's fans back that I'm going to be easy on you, she says as she removes her large battle fan from her back.
I wouldn't have it any other way, Naruto says simply.
Temari swung her fan to the first moon and said, Wind style, destructive wind jutsu.
This sent a giant storm of wind flying at Naruto, and to the audience's surprise, Naruto just stood there as it kicked up a large dust cloud on impact.
When the smoke cleared, the crowd was stunned to see Naruto standing there without a scratch and with what appeared to be a translucent barrier in the form of a large rectangular wall standing in front of him. Temari stood there in shock and awe, her mouth agape. How did you get through that without getting hurt? She was able to stutter out. With a cocky smile that made many of the women in the crowd blush, Naruto runs his left hand through his hair before shrugging his shoulders and holding his hands out to the side. Bakudo number 81 is one of my most recent techniques. Danku, A.N. void splitting.
Naruto then grabs the tanto on his back, holds it in front of him, and releases it, but instead of falling, the blade simply floats in midair.
Now I think I'm going to show you what a true wind-style attack can do, Naruto said before hitting the handle, which began spinning anti-clockwise at blinding speed as he reached out and grabbed the handle as he said. Tenrin, A.N. Tornado, Hado number 58. A twister 3 times the size of Temari's attack emerges from the blade. Temari opens her fan all the way and rides on the wind current, taking her 30 feet in the air. Once all the dust has settled, Temari looks down and sees Naruto is nowhere in sight. Temari and the rest of the crowd are looking for Naruto. Temari finally hears Naruto's voice. "If you want an airborne battle, I'd be happy to oblige," Naruto said. Temari looks up and nearly falls off her fan, while Naruto stands in the air with his hands behind his back. "How in the hell are you standing on the air? There's only one shinobi in history who can fly, the third Tsuchikage Onoki," Temari exclaims. Naruto simply smiles. "Sorry, I can't give away all my secrets. I guess he's no longer the only flying shinobi." Konoha Shinobi Zone. All of Naruto's friends and family are shocked, and all of the shinobi in the arena are stunned and unable to comprehend what is happening as they try to figure out how this boy, whom everyone had labeled as the dead last, suddenly became so strong. Nariko turns to face her brother. "You ask me if you were cooler than brother Naruto. You just lost. I mean, look at him, he can fly, you can't even hold a candle to him." Kiba Inuzuka, self-proclaimed alpha and ladies' man, curled up into a fetal position on the ground, tears streaming down his face. Hokage stand. Hiruzen's mind was racing at 1,000,000 miles per second, trying to figure out how Naruto had grown so powerful. And this new sword, along with the new techniques he had been employing in the fight, as well as a mysterious paralysis technique that he had been informed of Naruto employing on 2 men earlier in the month. There was also the matter of Naruto's sudden increase in Fuinjutsu knowledge. He was aware that the Uzumaki clan could absorb knowledge in that particular branch like a sponge, but this was on a different level. But now that Naruto has revealed that he can fly, he knows that the only other flying shinobi is his old rival Onoki. He only hoped there were no Iwa spies here, but if Onoki discovered that the Leaf Village had another flying shinobi, he would give up Jiraiya's books for a year just to see the look on his old rival's face. At the same time as this was going through Hiruzen's mind, Orochimaru began to panic. How had this little brat, the same brat he had ignored in the Forest of Death, grown so quickly? He decided to capture Naruto in order to experiment on him and discover these new abilities. Overlooking the stadium, Naruto pulls a handful of shuriken from his pocket and throws them at his opponent before quickly going through a dozen hand signs. Wind style. Great windstorm, which increases the shuriken's speed. Temari, sensing the approaching barrage, sends chakra to her fan, propelling her upwards, but not quickly enough, as a few of the shuriken pierce her fan. Because of the holes, the fan can no longer keep her in the air, and she begins to fall. Temari closes her eyes and braces herself for the pain she knows is coming. But then she feels 2 arms encircling her in a bride hold. When she opens her eyes, she sees that the person holding her is none other than Naruto, who is slowly descending back to the ground. The crowd was holding its breath the entire fight because they were so excited to see 2 shinobi fighting in the air. There were gasps when Temari began to fall, but then Naruto appears beneath her and catches her, and the crowd goes wild with joy. Arena. Naruto looks at Temari as he lands on the ground. Housewares on the first floor. Temari blushes as she looks up at Naruto. "Thank you for saving me, and you can put me down now," Naruto said as he stepped back and set her down. Temari looks at Naruto, trying to wipe the blush off her face. "I'd like to continue fighting, but my fan is damaged." She notices Genma to her left. "I withdraw from the match." Genma makes her way to the center of the arena. The winner of this match is Naruto Uzumaki due to a forfeit. Naruto grabs Temari by the left wrist and whispers softly so that only she can hear him. "I can fix your brother's seal so he can live a normal life and ensure the One Tail can no longer manipulate him. Just come to my compound after finals and I will fix his seal," he says before letting go of her. As she climbs the stairs, Temari begins to consider the plan her father devised with the snake Sanin to attack the hidden leaf. Between returning her mother's fans and accepting the offer to repair her brother's seal, she was beginning to have second thoughts. "I give up," Shino said to Genma. Genma gives a nod. "Attention ladies and gentlemen, we have arrived at the finals, and the final match will be between Naruto Uzumaki of Konoha and Gaara of Suna due to a forfeit. Soon, Both Naruto and Gaara are standing in the center of the arena, but before the match can begin, a swirl of leaves reveals Kakashi and Sasuke. Kakashi turns to face Genma. "We're not late, are we?" Genma turns to face Kakashi. "Because your student was disqualified for failing to arrive on time for his match, please take your student and leave Hataki." Kakashi approaches Naruto and grabs his shoulder. "Come on, Naruto, we don't want you to embarrass yourself or the village." "I'm sorry Kakashi, I guess you didn't understand what I was saying. I was talking about Sasuke Uchiha. When he didn't show up, he was disqualified. We're in the final round now. Please leave the arena so we can convince the final round, which is a fight between Naruto and Gaara," Genma said. Sasuke takes a step forward, his Sharingan activated. "I am the last Uchiha, and now I demand that you let me fight," he says, as the entire crowd boos and throws trash at him. "Get out of here, Uchiha, no one wants you," he yelled, "we are done with you, all your clan has ever done is cause trouble for this village." Kakashi quickly steps in front of Sasuke, blocking the trash, before turning to face Genma. "I'm sure if you asked the Hokage, he'd let Sasuke have his fight." Genma simply smiles. "I apologize for the Hokage's orders. He's the one who disqualified the Uchiha." Kakashi places his hand on Sasuke's shoulder, his one eye narrowing. "You know this isn't the end of it," she says as she leaves in a swirl of leaves. Area for sitting. When Kakashi approaches his fellow Jonin, he is met with a slew of angry expressions. Asuma is the one who looks at him. "Look who finally decided to show up. Too bad you missed the entire tournament, but I'll tell you this. If Naruto doesn't make Chunin, I'll resign. If he doesn't deserve the Chunin rank, no one does." All the other Jonin nodded. Sasuke was enraged. He had finally gotten the training he thought he deserved for the last month, only to be shot down because he was late for his match, believing that his name would carry weight regardless of his tardiness. But it was Naruto's fight with his opponent that pushed him over the edge. Looking around, he notices Hinata sitting in the crowd. He may not have interacted with his academy classmates, but he was certain that this girl had a crush on the blonde idiot. He reasoned that since Naruto had taken something from him, he would take something from Naruto as well. He approaches her. "You, Hyuga, as the heiress of the Hyuga clan, would do your clan great honor by accompanying me, the last of the mighty Uchiha." Hinata and Hanabi burst out laughing, while Kurenai shoots daggers at him. Hinata finally caught her breath. "I wouldn't date you if you were the last man on the planet, and I'm no longer a Hyuga. I'm now a member of the Uzumaki clan." Sasuke's eyes are filled with rage as he looks at her. "There is no Uzumaki clan," Sasuke says as he looks at Ino. "Shows what you know, and don't even bother asking me out, I'm done with you. Why I wasted so many years chasing you is beyond me, you're nothing but a cold-hearted jerk," Ino said. This only adds to Sasuke's rage. Arena. Gaara looks at Naruto as the arena fills with massive amounts of killer intent after Kakashi leaves. "Mother said she wants your blood, and you will be the proof of my existence." Naruto does nothing but shake his head. "You do realize that the one-tailed Shukaku is a boy, and the only female-tailed beasts are the two tails Matabi, the six tails Saiken, and the seven tails Chomi?" Naruto stops talking because a wave of sand flies at him in the blink of an eye, only for him to vanish. Naruto appears on the stadium's far side. "I've got to give you credit for your quicksand," Naruto says as the audience boos him. Ino can also be heard yelling at him, "That has to be the worst pun ever, Naruto, you idiot." Naruto looks at Gaara, seeing no reaction to his joke. "Tell me, do you know anything about science?" No response this time. "Well, I tried to be nice," he said as a puff of smoke appeared in his hand, revealing a water balloon. Using the same technique he used on Neji, Naruto begins using Flash Step while pelting him with water balloons. After a while of dodging Gaara's sand, Naruto appears in front of him, and despite the fact that he has taken no damage, he can see the wet spots all over his sand. What is the point of this Uzumaki? Thought everyone in the audience, wondering why Naruto was pelting him with water balloons. Naruto smiles. That's a good question. It all goes back to the question I asked you earlier. Do you know anything about science? Well, since you don't seem to know, I will tell you. You and your village call your sand armor an ultimate defense, so I decided to turn your ultimate defense into your downfall. That's a good question. It all goes back to the question I asked you earlier. Do you know anything about science? Gaara displayed emotion for the first time during the fight. What have you done to my sand? Naruto enters what his students refer to as his lecture mode and looks at him. First, I decided to use your sand as a conductor by hitting you with water balloons, then I made sure your sand was moist, and then I used one of these. Naruto revealed another sphere. Inside the sphere is a compound known as liquid nitrogen. When this compound comes into contact with water, it can flash freeze anything, including your sand. You didn't notice that the water balloons I hit you with had more water than they normally would. This is because I use seals on the inside of it to hold more water. This is why your sand armor now has such a large hole in it. You sending large waves at me that I was able to freeze and render useless to you. Naruto appears next to Gaara and slugs him in the jaw, knocking him to the ground at the opposite end of the stadium. Gaara stands up and notices something dripping down his jaw. Reaching up, he touches his jaw and pulls his hand away from it, revealing a red liquid. Is this my blood? He asks, suddenly grabbing his head and screaming. It runs in my veins. When Naruto notices that one of the tails is attempting to escape, feathers begin to fall from the sky all around the stadium. A large explosion erupts from the Hokage box and spreads throughout the village. Naruto notices Gaara drawing sand from the ground and realizes that the one tail is about to overpower him and the village is under attack. He calls out, deciding to put Gaara out of business while the attack is ongoing. Bakudo number 4. Heinawa, A.N. Slithering rope. He appears next to Gaara as a golden rope wraps around him and slaps a seal on him, suppressing the one tails and knocking him out. Looking to the right, he notices Temari and Kankuro. Temari is the one who takes the initiative. We just found out that Orochimaru murdered our father Naruto. We will not participate in this fight, Temari stated. Naruto simply nods. That seal will keep him unconscious until this fight is over. Just hand yourself over to one of the Leaf Ninja, I've got to go. Before Naruto vanishes, appearing in the stadium seats, he quickly cuts down several sound ninja before approaching his friends and family. Kakashi turns to face Naruto. I'm glad you're here. Sasuke left, and I'm sending you to help him with a team. Shikamaru will be in command. Naruto simply stares at Asuma. What are my instructions? Asuma extinguished his cigarette. Protect the civilians and get them to safety. Naruto approaches Aisha and Nariko and proposes on one knee. I want you both to go with Hinata and Hanabi and do whatever they tell you to do. Both girls say, yes big brother, and he kisses them on the forehead. When Kakashi calls out to Naruto, he begins to walk away. I gave you a direct order, Genin, said Kakashi. Naruto casts a glance behind him. I recognize you gave me an order, Hitaki, but since you made a dumb-ass decision, I've decided to disregard you. Leaf section, stands. Kakashi looks at Naruto with one eye narrowed as he is ignored. Genin Uzumaki, I gave you a direct order. Naruto continues to ignore him and then calls out to Yoruichi as she approaches. Get to the academy and secure it. Kill anything that isn't wearing a leaf headband. The people around them were taken aback when she approached Naruto and kissed him on the lips. Naruto speaks into her ear. Knock out any sand ninja you come across. Yoruichi takes a step back. Don't worry, I'll keep the academy safe. Just don't overwork yourself, Naruto-kun. I've prepared a special reward for you tonight, and you'll need all the energy you can muster. She vanishes without a trace with a wink of her eye and a cat-like grin.
Naruto looks at Nemu.
Go to the hospital, summon Hana, Izan, and Hanataro, and tell them they're about to be overrun and will require all the assistance they can get. Nemu extends a small bow to him.
I'll take care of it right away, Naruto-kun.
Naruto gives her a quick kiss on the cheek, and she steps away blushing. Kiba Inuzuka approaches Naruto and grabs the front of his jacket. Tell me your secret, how did you get two such beautiful women? Naruto pushes him aside. Not right now, dog breath. He turns to face his group. Before we go out there and smack down on these people who are attacking our village, I think some of you should get some upgrades. He suddenly holds a silver briefcase, places it on the ground, and opens it after releasing another storage seal. Tenten, please come here. He looks up as she walks over to see what he wants. How do you do with a bow? She looks at him with a shocked expression. You've got to be kidding me, I'm the weapon mistress, there's no weapon I can't use. Naruto nods and pulls out an item that resembles a bracelet with a chain and a strange cross that none of them recognize hanging from it. Alright, now put this on your right wrist. Tenten simply observes it. I'm not a big jewelry person. The look in his eyes tells her he's not in the mood, so she grabs it and fastens it around her wrist. The second item he removes is a small vial with a greenish-blue liquid. Using his thumb he pops the cork, passes it to her and says, drink this. Gaia is the one who asks the Jonin about Naruto. Excuse me, Uzumaki-sama, but what is that chemical, and what is the bracelet you gave to my student? Naruto raises two fingers toward Guy. First, the next time you call me Sama, I'm going to punch you in the face all the way to Kumo. Guy gives a quick nod. Second, the bracelet I had her wear as a weapon. This compound will give her a temporary boost and increase the durability of her chakra. I can tell she doesn't have the high reserves required to use it right now because she has focused on her weapons, but I know you can help her with that. Tenten examines the bracelet. Naruto adds, seeing her and the sensei's expressions. If it helps, it works similarly to the Raijin no Ken. However, unlike Raijin no Ken, which requires a large amount of lightning chakra and a blood contract to properly wield, this weapon relies on the spiritual aspect of chakra. Tenten looks at her sensei, who nods, and takes a deep breath before drinking the compound, her eyes glazing over. The sensei all look at Naruto.
She should be fine.
I was expecting that. Tenten's point of view. Tenten finds herself in a huge void of white. Hearing a throat clearing, she spins around to see a man dressed in a white outfit with several blue crosses like the one on the bracelet, with chin-length black hair and glasses. She quickly reaches for a weapon, only to discover that her weapons have vanished.
And adopts a taijutsu stance.
What is your name, and where are we? My name is Uryu Ishida, and we are in the void, but we are running out of time. I'm nothing more than an echo trapped inside the bracelet, and I'm here to teach you everything I can during that time. Reality. Tenten abruptly returns to herself and lunges forward, hugging Naruto and thanking him. Are you alright, Tenten? Guy inquired. Tenten turned to face her sensei. I'm alright. The group notices a large group of sound ninja approaching them, but before any of the Jonin can react, Tenten's wrist flashes with light, and she's suddenly holding a bluish-colored chakra bow. She pulls the string, and an arrow made of chakra appears, which she quickly fires at one of the enemy ninjas, piercing him in the chest with the arrow, and the other ninjas quickly follow with arrows in similar locations. Everyone in the area turns to look at Naruto. Where did you get that? Asuma inquired. Naruto beams. I apologize, clan secret. Except for Kakashi, everyone nods. Kakashi takes a step forward. Give that to Sasuke. He can use it better than she can. Naruto gives him a cold stare. In the scorching desert, I wouldn't give Sasuke a glass of water. Naruto looks at Tenten, who is still firing arrows across the stadium at the enemy. That is, of course, the beginner model. If you show me that you are trustworthy, I will let you keep it and the rest of the equipment that comes with it. Naruto crosses his fingers as more enemy ninjas arrive. Jutsu of the Shadow Clone. Suddenly, the entire area is swarming with clones swarming the enemy, with a squad of clones in front. He takes a look at them. Go to the nobles section and transport them to the Uzumaki compound. Once there, activate the barriers and lock the compound down. Before the Jonin can ask what he's doing, the clones vanish, and a massive barrier appears around the designated section that he had just sent the clones to. He returns his attention to his group. Choji, step forward now that I've secured the nobles. Nobles section, a few moments ago. All of the samurai who had broken the genjutsu are now attempting to fight off the invaders who are attempting to harm their lords and ladies, with most of the nobles being woken up by the bodyguards to get them to safety, are now in the corner watching as their bodyguards are attempting to defeat the enemy when suddenly all the ninjas fall to the ground as a blur cuts them down, but before they can realize what is happening they are surrounded by all of the samurai immediately stand guard, ready to attack if necessary. He is recognized by one of the nobles. All of you stand down. Lord Uzumaki, thank you for your assistance. The clone grins. I'm just a shadow clone, the original is fighting outside the barrier. I've been given orders to evacuate you and we need to move quickly. I'm not the best at making barriers on this scale. One of the samurai raises his voice. Where are we going to flee to, and how are we going to get there? A door appears in front of their eyes. We're comparing you to the Uzumaki compound, which has the strongest barrier in the elemental nations. Once activated, it'll take one of the tailed beasts to break through. As the nobles and samurai begin to walk through the doorway, one of the clones notices a mother attempting to wake up her child who is still suffering from the genjutsu. The clone approaches. Please allow me to assist you. He reaches out and taps the child on the forehead, absorbing chakra and breaking the genjutsu. The mother quickly thanks the clone and walks out. With the help of the leaf shinobi. The group watches Choji approach Naruto as he reaches back into his briefcase, pulls out another box, and turns to face his friend. I chose you because you represent nearly the same values that the previous owner did. When you open the box, you'll find a reddish-purple glove with black markings. This is known as the Brazo Derecho del Gigante. A.N. Giant's right arm. Choji turns to face Naruto. What values are you referring to, Naruto? The person who wielded this power before you was a big boy who used to get into a lot of fights as a kid and always won because of his size. Until he bit off more than he could chew and needed his grandfather's assistance. He told him the truth about his size, and this is what he told him about those big fists of yours, and then told him that he had to find out for himself. After the boy's grandfather died, he vowed that he would never fight unless it was to protect others, as instructed. Even if it meant risking his own life. The Akamichi clan is known throughout the elemental nation as the Big Bone clan, but they are also known as the Gentle Giants, and your clan is similar to him in that you never seek trouble. People can insult you and you just laugh it off most of the time, but if anyone ever attacks your friends, you will always be there to protect them. I've seen several members of your clan get pummeling in a bar fight and never throw a punch because they were too big to hurt those around them. Choji, I believe you should wield this power. The Akamichi clan's 3 members all smiled proudly. Taking the glove, Choji placed it on his right hand, and Naruto handed him a vial containing a reddish compound. Sensei Choji quickly drinks it without even looking at him, and his eyes glazed over like Tenten's. Choji's point of view. Choji finds himself standing next to a river with a large boy nearby, and he walks up to him. I'm guessing you were the first to wield this power. He gives a nod. Hello, my name is Yasutora Sato. Choji bows to him. Teach me how to use this power so I can protect my friends. Choji observes the older boy getting down on one knee and placing his hand on Choji's shoulder. I can tell you have a good heart. Reality. Choji quickly returns to reality and smiles at Naruto before pouring chakra into his arm, which is covered in a purplish liquid that solidifies into a form of armor. Choza approaches and examines his son's arm. What exactly does this accomplish, Naruto? Naruto beams. Basically, it gives him increased strength and durability in his arm. It also allows him to do things he wouldn't normally be able to do, such as lifting heavy objects and punching through reinforced walls, to name a few. And with proper training, the arm will eventually evolve and he'll be able to fire a burst of concentrated chakra from his fist. Everyone was looking at the arm with a little fear. And a proud father nodding to his son. Naruto then closes the briefcase, replaces it in the storage seal, and joins the rest of the group in looking at Choji. Like Tenten, if you prove worthy, I'll let you keep it, and once you master it, I'll give you the left glove called Brazo Izquierdo del Diablo, A.N., left arm of the devil, which is on the yen side. A little to the side with a scowl on his face, Kakashi thinks to himself, you just wait, you little demon brat, I'll get the council to make you give these weapons to Sasuke. The first thing we need to do is get these civilians, along with the others, to the evacuation center. Asuma stated. How are we going to do it, sensei? They're all asleep due to the genjutsu, and waking them up would take too long. Ino stated. Naruto gives her a friendly smile. Don't worry, I'll rouse them. Putting his hands together in the ram sign, everyone in the area can feel Naruto building chakra before sending out a chakra pulse, waking everyone up in the stadium, and then putting his hands together in the shadow clone sign. Naruto creates a large number of clones who use the flash step quickly, abducting civilians by the dozens. Within a few seconds, the entire section of the stadium has been emptied, and everyone has noticed that the clones that have appeared all over the stadium, transporting civilians to shelters, are engaging the enemy. Kiba lets out a sigh. I really need to learn that jutsu. All of the genin nodded in agreement. Naruto returns his gaze to the adults. Let's go have a good time. Then Flash takes a step back. Asuma turns to face his fellow jonin. I'm not sure whether I should feel sorry for the enemy or not, but let's hope he keeps the damage to the village to a minimum. The only thought going through everybody's head is, that ain't going to happen, he's an Uzumaki. And there is always collateral damage wherever an Uzumaki goes. Kiba looks down at Akamaru as his friend walks away. Let's go, buddy, we can't let him beat us. Then he flees. Sume shakes her head in disappointment as her son runs away, then turns to Hana. I still hold you responsible for his stupidity because you abandoned him as a baby. Hana simply whined. It wasn't my fault, Mom. He puked on me. Academy. The instructors began to evacuate the students out back of the academy and through the academy training grounds to the evacuation tunnels that took them to the academy's shelter as soon as the explosions began. When they stepped outside the building, they were met by a large group of sound and sand ninja, and all of the instructors told the students to go back inside. Iruka turned to face the building, only to notice another group following them. Konohamaru, Moegi, and Udon are huddled with the other students, and Moegi is looking at Konohamaru. How are we going to proceed now? Don't worry, the boss will put a stop to these guys. Konohamaru responded firmly. The students watch as the instructors are sent flying to the ground one by one, until only Iruka stands between them. Stanley. One of the largest men anyone has ever seen approaches with a rock headband with a line through it. Stand back, because I'm about to put an end to these little tree-hugging brats. It's time to retaliate for what your fourth Hokage did to my village during the Third Shinobi War. Iruka speaks quietly to the nearby children. As soon as I distract him, I want you to all run as fast as you can. Iruka charges forward, throwing a kunai and a handful of flash grenades, but the rock ninja blocks the attack with an earth-style jutsu, then grabs Iruka by the front of his vest and throws him backwards, all the students calling out his name. The rock ninja starts laughing. You tree huggers have become so frail since the war that no man in this village can touch me. As he approaches, the students take a step back. Suddenly, all of the sand and sound ninjas in the area fall to the ground as a blur cuts through them, leaving only the rock ninja, who is punched in the face by a woman who appears in midair, the punch being powerful enough to send him crashing through a nearby wall. The students now have a good look at the woman, who is dressed in black pants, a white shirt, and an orange vest, with her long purple hair pulled back in a ponytail. The woman then appears in front of the students and crosses her arms. How about a woman, if no man can touch you? All of the female students have stars in their eyes, while all of the boys have hearts in their eyes. She is immediately surrounded by all of the female students, and when Moegi asks who she is, the woman simply looks down. My name is Yoruichi Shihuin, and I am the commander of the Land of Waves Division 3. Iruka, who had gotten back up and was staring at her before storming up to her. Avoid my students. I won't let you corrupt them like you did in the Land of Waves. Yoruichi gives him a look. You're that idiot who showed up a few days ago to get my Naruto-kun. Why don't you shut up before I neuter you? Iruka's rage turned to worry that she might actually do it, and based on what he just said,
She could.
he was curious if she was related to Anko. Moegi was the one who inquired. Do you know who the boss is? Yoruichi made a cat-like grin at the girl. His fiancée. 3 students are wide-eyed. Kiba's point of view, Market District. As 2 drill-like objects crash through some sound ninja, it's revealed as Kiba and Akamaru looking at all the ninjas on the ground. He looks at his partner. We're going to show that dope who's the boss. Suddenly, they hear a flower pot being broken, and both look behind them to see a sand ninja with a flower pot broken on his head and a sword in his hand before collapsing unconscious on the ground. They both look up and see none other than Tora the cat, who turns around and sticks his tail up in the air before jumping off. Kiba turns to face his partner. We can never tell anyone that we were saved by a cat because we'd be the laughingstock of the clan. Akamaru whimpered and placed his paws on his brow. Kiba missed the woman across the street with a dreamy expression because he wasn't paying attention. I'm sure Mistress Yellow Rose would be interested in knowing about this. She walks away with a camera in her pocket. Back alleys. Hinata and Hanabi had taken both girls and used a back entrance to the stadium to assist civilians en route to safety. They had just turned the corner when they noticed a dozen enemy ninja on the rooftop, 3 of whom were firing massive fireballs at their group. Hinata becomes concerned because she realizes she will not be able to get the group away in time. Please, 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 this cannot happen. She decided to protect the girls by wrapping all 3 of them in a hug and using her body as a shield. While she was thinking to herself, please, anyone help, everyone around her was stunned as her hairpins glowed brightly, and then there was a massive windstorm swirling around them. Hinata's point of view. Hinata is standing on a grassy field when she notices a girl sitting on a blanket looking up at the clouds. The girl turns and smiles at her. I'm overjoyed that you were able to unlock my power. She stroked the blanket beside her. Come on, we have a lot to talk about. After what seemed like hours of learning about her new abilities, the girl who introduced herself as Orihime began to fade. Before I leave, my final piece of advice is to make that blonde boy pay more attention to you, and if he doesn't, do what my friend Tatsuki would do. She would walk up to him, grab him by the front of his shirt, and say, "You're my boyfriend now, you got it," then she would bash him on the head. Reality. When the smoke clears, the entire group is shielded by a glowing orange shield, with Hinata standing, facing the enemy, and what they see on her face is something her sister has never seen before. She then speaks in a venomous tone of voice. When I awoke from the beating on my father's orders and realized what had happened, how I had been freed and given a new family, I made a promise to myself that I would protect my new family and that I would no longer be the shy and weak little girl that I had made myself into all these years. So you chose the wrong person to fight and the wrong people to try to hurt. The shield vanished, replaced by 6 objects flying around them that appeared to the little girls to be fairies. The apparent leader of the ninjas smirked. Look, the little princess thinks she's all big and bad, but we're going to get a good price from black market for both of you, Hyuga. They all laughed at the group, and the leader looked at them. I might even take you both to my bedchambers to break you in before selling you. I'm thinking about taking those 2 little brats hiding behind you. I know one of them is an Inuzuka, and I've always wanted my own little pet. Hinata's fearful expression made even the most bloodthirsty murderer flinch, and she put her hands forward. I'll show you what happens if you mess with my family. When she says Tsubaki, one of the small objects flies into her face. What do you want? I'm going to put you to use right now. Before Hinata could react, he grabbed 2 fistfuls of her hair and began pulling it. Do you think I'm going to help you just because you unlock our powers? Hinata was pleading with him to let go of her hair. When this began to happen, all of the enemy ninja were taken aback. They'd never seen a technique like this before, and they assumed she'd used the summoning jutsu and her summons were refusing to assist her. The tiny blonde flies over and smacks him on the head. You're acting well, Tsubaki. She turns to face Hinata. Please disregard him. He's always been a jerk. My name is Shuno, Althea. From behind Hinata, Aisha peers out. Are you a boy or a girl? You resemble my Auntie Ino but sound like a boy. Shuno is now being held back by a little red-dressed fairy. Finally, the leader takes the floor. Finally, fire style, fireball jutsu. I'm launching a massive fireball at the group. Hinata recalls her conversation with Orihime when she sees this. I reject Hanagaku, Lily, and Bygone equals Santen Keshun equals 3 Sacred Link's shield. 3 of them appear in front of her in the shape of a triangle, forming an orange shield into which the fireball crashes. Even through the smoke screen, they can hear her say Tsubaki equals Koten Zanshin equals solitary sacred cutting shield. An orange object flies out of the smoke at high speed and lands on the leader's chest, coming out the back side. Hinata meets the remaining ninjas head-on, delivering quick blows with her gentle fist while dancing through them on her toes. She was panting out of breath after the last one collapsed to the ground when she heard a small voice. Help! Let me go, Hinata says as she spins around to see that both Aisha and Noriko have managed to grab one of the fairies with bright pink hair, transparent yellow goggles, and a blue bathing suit, Lily, if she remembers correctly. Hinata speaks in a tone that a parent would use to get the attention of a small child. Please let her go right now. Both girls immediately let Lily go, saying, sorry, big sister, auntie. Hinata does nothing but shake her head. Come on, we have to get you to the shelter. District of Commerce. Sakura Haruno has been stuck doing D-rank missions for the last month. Between the missions and being beaten senseless by Naruto and Ino, then the threats from the proctor in the second exam, she wasn't even allowed to go to the third stage of the exam due to her not being a full active kunoichi due to being on probation. She'd been running to get groceries for a D-rank mission and hadn't even put on any of her battle gear because she thought it would be a waste of time and her precious Sasuke wouldn't want to see her all decked out like a kunoichi and maybe he'd like the new dress she'd bought. She was now caught up in a stampede of civilians attempting to reach the shelter when she notices her mother and grandmother running for one of the shelters, but because her grandmother needed a cane, they weren't moving as quickly as the others. She runs up to them, calling out to get their attention. Please hurry, we need to get you to the shelters. Out of nowhere, a sound ninja appears. Sakura immediately takes a defensive stance, but since she lacks weapons, she adopts a taijutsu stance. She may be a bad kunoichi, but she can punch very hard. Look what we've got here, a smoking hot blonde, a crippled old bag of bones, and a little girl who thinks she's big and bad. He reaches out to grab Sakura, but her grandmother strikes him with her cane, and he shoves her back into her daughter. Sakura charges at him, fist cocked, but he grabs her around the throat and throws her into her mother, completely unaware of the sledgehammer-like punch to the face he just avoided. I was planning on having a little fun with you three, but I just decided not to. He then makes a dozen hand gestures and calls out. Lightning Fang. Lightning style. Sakura's eyes widen as she realizes she was nothing more than a civilian who liked to play kunoichi, the fact that she didn't even bring any of her battle gear. One of the lessons that they taught at the academy is to always carry at least some of their gear. She didn't do that, and as the top student in academics she was ashamed of herself. Naruto suddenly appears in front of them, his back to them. Great breakthrough in wind style. Before appearing behind the enemy with his butterfly sword sticking out of his chest, he sends a gust of wind at the lightning wolves, canceling them out. Naruto instantly creates 2 clones that grab her mother and grandmother and drag them away, before turning to face Sakura. You are nothing more than a disappointment. This isn't a game, Sakura, and your white knight in shining armor isn't going to arrive at the last minute to save you. Take a look at yourself. He points to a window mirror. You know it's standard procedure for you to keep some weapons on you even when you're not on duty. Sakura, take off your training bra, grow a pair, and start taking this seriously. Sakura looks in the mirror before turning to face Naruto. After everything I've done to you, why did you help me, my mother and grandmother? Naruto takes a look at her. As long as you wear this village's headband and call it home, I will lay down my life to protect all who live within its walls, no matter what they have done to me in the past, because that's where it is, in the past. He then quickly turns around and leaves her standing in the street, and when she returns to the mirror, she is disgusted by her reflection. Look at me, I'm a kunoichi, not a civilian, and it's time I started acting like one. She then begins her journey home to retrieve her belongings. Front door. Anko and a large number of ninjas are attempting to hold the line when she calls out Shadow Snake Strike, which sends small snakes out of her sleeve at an enemy ninja, wrapping around his neck and arms and biting him. She then hears a thud behind her. Turning to look, she sees Naruto standing behind her over a fallen ninja. I didn't need your assistance, Naruto. I knew he was there, and everything is under control. Naruto looks to his left and notices a small burning building. I see that, Anko. Just remember not to let you do my interior decorating. All of the leaf ninja in the area laugh at Anko, whose face has turned red. Konoha Medical Center. The hospital staff was frantically trying to treat the injured as they began to arrive and were quickly becoming overwhelmed. One of the nurses dashes up to the hospital's administration. Excuse me, miss, we're being overrun. We have more wounded than we can treat, and at the rate they're coming in, our doctors will be drained of chakra in no time and will be unable to continue taking food pills. The head turns to face her. For the time being, we'll have to do what we can. Focus on the civilians, all the shinobi will have to wait. They are cut off when a doorway appears in the middle of the hallway. When the doorway opens, several figures walk out, the most notable of which is a woman with twin ponytails tied in front of her chest, and the leaf shinobi stationed their stand guard, drawing weapons. She is dressed in a black shiakusho and a white haori. Behind her are at least 12 people wearing black shiakusho and a green sash with a backpack. On their right shoulder is a piece of wood with the symbol for the fourth, and the front woman walks up to who she believes is the head doctor. Are you the administrator of this hospital? Stand down and identify yourself, or we will have to intervene, one of the shinobi said. The woman simply turns and smiles at him, causing all the shinobi nearby to freeze, before returning her attention to the head doctor. My name is Hana Retsui, and I'm the commander of Wave Country's 4th Medical Division. Please allow me to introduce Captain Katetsu Izan to my left, and Lieutenant Yamada Hanataro to my right. We have been dispatched here by Lord Uzumaki to assist you in any way we can. The head doctor simply nodded. Thank you. At the rate they're coming in, we'll be out of chakra in no time, so having extra hands will come in handy. Hana raises her hand and points to 4 men wearing the same outfit and pulling a cart through the door with the symbol for the 5th on their shoulders. We are well aware of your doctor's problem with chakra exhaustion, so Lord Uzumaki was able to use the vast resources of the Uzumaki clan in the art of fuinjutsu and construct a prototype for the hospital. The doctors observed as the men removed a canvas, revealing a large stone with seals engraved into it. Hana was looking at the head doctor. What exactly is this? Hana smiled a little. This is known as a chakra battery, and the stone itself is granite, one of the hardest stones there is. I'm not well versed in this field, so my knowledge is limited, but based on what Lord Uzumaki said, he was able to come up with a fuinjutsu formula so the doctors can put these bracelets on. Indicating the man holding suitcases. Once on, instead of using their own chakra, they will be able to use the chakra that is stored inside of this battery, which he said can store up to 4 taels worth of chakra, and that you, the head doctor, would understand what he was saying. Sarah Saito, the hospital's administrator since Tsunade's departure, could only stare at the briefcases in disbelief. She could only think of Naruto's generosity, whom she had known since he first arrived at the hospital after a brutal beating and when the Hokage had appointed her as his personal doctor along with a few nurses. Sarah emerged from her thoughts to find Hana smiling and turning to some of the doctors by her side. I started giving them out right away to everyone who had low chakra reserves. Then Hana speaks up. That's not all he gave us to give out, Sarah, she says as she walks over to one of their briefcases and pulls out a sealing tag before returning to her. Naruto knew that the original storage tags couldn't seal living objects, so he created an entirely new tag specifically for the hospital. The medical staff observes as Hana walks over to an injured leaf shinobi, places the tag on his chest, and then vanishes in a puff of smoke. Now that he is secured inside the sealing matrix, we can get to him when the crisis is over, and when we release him, it will be as if seconds have passed. It also means that all the doctors will not be drained and overworked, and they may miss something that leads to him passing away. Sarah Saito's only thought at the time was, that boy is going to get an all-you-can-eat buffet at Ichiraku Ramen even if it costs me my entire check, before quickly turning and barking orders about using the new tags to seal away the most severely wounded in order to save their lives. The Uzumaki estate. After passing through the doorway, the nobles were greeted by a courtyard with a small koi pond and several female servants dressed in white robes. One of the servants takes a step forward. "Greetings, and welcome to the Uzumaki compound. Please follow me, and I will lead you to one of the dining halls." One of the elderly female nobles with slightly gray hair and a cane speaks to them as they walk down one of the corridors. "It feels good to be back here. I remember this place from my youth back when the Uzumaki clan was here," she says as she begins to tell stories of her youth coming here to visit her friends to children of the nobles and of the Uzumaki clan's history. As they rounded the corner, they were met by a boy and a girl arguing over what appears to be a piece of cake. "Fight." The girl yells at him. "You knew it was mine, and you knew it was my favorite, so why would you take it, you jerk?" The boy simply smiles. "You should have been quicker. You know the rules, you have to put your name on it, no name, it's up for grabs." The girl makes a fist. "I warn you, if you eat that, you will pay the price." The boy takes a bite with his fork. "Give me one compelling reason why I should give you this." All of the male nobles and samurai take a step back, saying aloud, "Big mistake, kid," while mentally slapping themselves in the face at the boy's stupidity. The girl grins. "You want a good reason? I'll give you 5. Before the boy can register what she says, she sucker punches him in the stomach, quickly grabs the cake, and stands over him while he's on the floor holding his stomach, before turning around and walking away. The boy yells at her before she can get too far away. "I hope you suffocate on it, beaverface." She abruptly came to a halt, placed the cake on a table, and slowly turned around to face him, at which point the nobles noticed she has 2 large front teeth. The boy abruptly realizes what he said, leaps to his feet, and runs as fast as he can in the opposite direction, with the girl hot on his tail, yelling at him to return and take his beating like a man. Fight over, hallway. One of the noble boys raised his head to look at his father. "Dad, why did he say that when she clearly outweighed him?" His father only gives him a small smile. "Well, son, you see, we men don't always come equipped with common sense, and most of the time we, as men, have to have it beaten into us by women. And the few men who do come equipped with common sense know that when it comes to women, it's better to just nod their head and do what they're told." All of the female nobles are smiling and proud of the young girl, but they are all thinking the same thing. "That boy is going to be a glutton for punishment," one of the female nobles overhears the servant muttering to herself. "That boy is never going to learn," and when she asks what she means, the servant simply stares at her. "That boy seems to be a magnet for trouble. When it comes to his sisters, he just seems to open his mouth all the time, and it usually ends with him being beaten by one of his sisters," the servant said. The group then proceeds to the dining hall, where the servant greets them. "Can I get any of you a drink? We have a large selection of wine and sake for the adults, and I'll gladly get some juice for the kids." One of the elderly gentlemen swallows and clears his throat.
I'm guessing you don't have any of the famous Uzu sake, being the Uzumaki clan compound and all.
"I haven't had it in nearly 40 years, and the last time I saw a bottle for sale, it was 100,000 ryo. I have direct orders to ensure your comfort, so I will have a bottle brought to you, and when you leave here, I will see about getting you another bottle," the servant said.
After double-checking that everyone's orders are correct, she quickly departs to get the beverages and snacks.
With all the nobles discussing the new lord of Whirlpool Country, they're interrupted when the boy from earlier runs through the room and jumps out a window. Seconds later, the girl runs in and looks around, hearing a small cough, and looking at one of the female nobles. "If you're looking for that boy, he went out that window," she said quickly, jumping to the window after him. The noble's son who had earlier asked his father the question had just begun to open the last of his favorite candy bars when he noticed one of the noble's daughters looking at him and giving him the puppy dog look. Knowing that she liked it as well, he decides he does not want to end up like the other boy, so he let out a sigh and handed it to her. "You can have it," she said quickly, grabbing it and patting him on the head. "I guess Mom was right. They can be taught," the girl said, and all the females in the room laughed, while the men grumbled that's not fair. The front gate. Anko took a look at the Naruto who had just appeared. "Are you the real thing or a clone?" "I'm just a clone, the original me is up there," Naruto explained, jerking his thumb at the Hokage monument. The Leaf Ninja are all watching as the boy they have all mocked and treated with such hostility is using his clones to take the wounded away as well as grabbing any civilians in the area, and they also notice that his clones are using the substitution to take hits for them if they do not see the attack coming. Anko quickly goes on guard when the Leaf group notices a large group of enemy ninjas approaching the gate. They are not permitted to enter the village.
Naruto takes a step in front of the group. "Leave this to me, it's time you saw what happens when you combine the Crimson Metal Storm and the Yellow Flash of the Leaf Village," Naruto said before seemingly disappearing.
The group of Leaf Ninja could only watch as the large group was cut down one by one with ease. Those who had seen the great battle at the end of the Third Great Shinobi War were reminded of the battle where Minato Namikaze used his Hiraishin to kill 1,000 enemy Iwa ninjas, Flying Thunder God Jutsu. Then Naruto reappears in front of Anko.
"That brings us to 127, you better hurry up or you'll fall behind Anko-chan."
Anko quickly throws a kunai, nailing a sand ninja in the chest. "Don't worry about me, Naruto-kun. I'll catch up to you in no time." They both hear a voice yell out and look up to see Ibiki Morino. They both quickly jump to the top of the building and see that the older generation of Ino Shika Cho is present. Ibiki casts a glance at Naruto. "Uzumaki, give me a report." The clone immediately stands to attention. "Sir, I currently have clones dispatched all over the village. Some are evacuating non-combatants, stationed at key points in the village such as the hospital, the Hokage Tower, the archives and Shinobi Library. I've also got clones going around collecting any wounded they find and immediately transporting them to the hospital. I've also got a number of clones engaging the enemy." "How did you find out, Naruto?" Kakashi asked as he approached the building. "It was his daughter Temari, and after I took out her brother, she told me that's why they surrendered." Just a shake of the head from Kakashi. "That's why you don't deserve the title of Chunin, Naruto. You believe anything the enemy says." This caused all of the Jonin in the area to look at Kakashi, while Ibiki looks at Naruto. "Good job, kid, but now we need to." He is cut off by a large explosion outside the front gates, the smoke clearing to reveal a large three-headed snake crashing through the wall. "Oh shit," say the Leaf Ninja collectively. Kakashi raises his headband. "Leave this to me. I'll handle it." The clone takes a look at him. "What are you going to do, summon a chihuahua to bite the snake?" Laughs every Leaf Shinobi in the area, who narrows his eyes at Naruto. "Well, if you're so big and bad, why don't you take it out?" Kakashi suggested. The clone simply shook his head. "Alright, Choza, would you mind lending me a hand?" Choza approaches. "Sure, Naruto, I'll assist you." "What do you require?" "I need you to throw me as hard as you can above it," replied the Naruto clone. The large man grabs Naruto, swings him around, and throws him high in the air above the large snake summon without missing a beat. Because there are no enemy ninjas in the area, all of the Leaf Shinobi come to a halt to see what Naruto will do with the large snake summon. Those who had witnessed Naruto's matches held their breath as they heard Naruto begin another incantation and braced themselves for the show, wondering what this one would do. Naruto begins the incantation once he is high enough in the air, as a yellowish energy appears above his palm and he calls out loudly enough for everyone to hear. Sprinkled on the beast's bones. Sharp tower, red crystal, steel ring. Move and become the wind, stop and become the calm, and the sound of warring spears fills the empty castle. Hado number 63. Raikoho, also known as Fiery Lightning Howl. As he falls, he unleashes a massive bolt of golden lightning that collides with the snake summon, making it explode in a large cloud of smoke. When the smoke clears, Naruto can be seen looking at another large group of enemy ninja who just came through the gate. Naruto clenches his fists. Who's next? Instead of charging at him as the leaf ninja predicted, the enemy began to retreat, running back out the gate. Rooftop. All of the Jonin are staring at Kakashi with gaping mouths, but it is Anko who breaks the silence by laughing. Scarecrow appears to have a stronger lightning technique than your Chidori, N1000 birds. When Kakashi looked at the Naruto clone, his only thought was, how the hell did this demon brat get so strong? He also thought, just you wait, once the council finds out about this, all those techniques and tools will be mine, and I'll give them to Sasuke. Anko stops laughing and yells, just so you know, Naruto-kun, that only counts as one kill. Come on, an 80-foot snake with 3 heads, I want at least 10, Naruto says as he re-enters the building. 8 10, 8 10, 8 10, 8 10, 8 8 10, Naruto grins. Well, you drive a hard bargain, Anko-chan, but I guess I'll take the 10. She quickly realizes she has been duped and grabs the clone by the front of his shirt and whispers something in his ear, causing his face to turn bright red and cancel himself. Ibiki looks at her and decides he probably doesn't want to ask what she said. Residential District. Sume and Hana Inuzuka immediately went on the offensive, ripping through the enemy with their partners, and as they stand over the last of their prey, a Naruto shadow clone appears in front of them, looking at all the fallen. It appears that you ladies have this under control. Sume simply let out a snort. What did you expect from an alpha like me? And she wonders where Kiba gets his big ego from, both Naruto and Hana think. Hana then looks at Naruto. You'd better take me somewhere other than Ichiraku for that lunch you owe me, Naruto-kun. They all turn around when they hear laughter and see a large man with grizzly brown hair, a raggedy beard, a leaf headband with a line through it, a Chunin vest, and a large female white wolf next to him. Well, look at what I've got here, my ex-wife. Sume, like Kuromaru, let out a growl. What are you doing here, Beifet? Naruto rushes at him, but Sume stops him. Not this time, Naruto. It's a family matter. Naruto turns to face Sume. Who is he? His name is Beifet Inuzuka, he's Kiba and Hana's father, but we recently discovered he's also Nariko's father, Sume replied. Beifet turns to face his ex-wife. And who exactly is Nariko? She's the daughter of that civilian you killed, Sume explained. Beifet erupted in laughter. So when I sold her, she was knocked up. Naruto is taken aback when he looks at Sume after hearing stories about this man. You never mentioned that he was a Chunin. I assumed he was at least a Jonin. He was never that strong. I married him only because it was an arranged marriage. Beifet turns to face Hana. Come on, my darling, give daddy a big hug. Drop dead, bastard, Hana said. Beifet gives her a look. That is not how you should treat your father. You're not my father, Hana replied. Kuromaru is being watched by the large white wolf next to him. Good day, brother. Hello sister, I see you're still with this moron, Kuromaru commented. The white wolf exhaled deeply. You know the clan laws. No matter how stupid he is, I cannot abandon my partner. Beifet turns to face his ex-wife. Once I remove you, I will reclaim my rightful place as head of the family. Naruto looked at the Inuzukas, both of whom appeared to be low on chakra, possibly on the verge of exhaustion, and dispelled himself, shocking both women, but before they could register it, a new Naruto clone appeared. Well, ladies, if you're going to fight him, you'll need some help. I hope you don't mind, but I took one of the food pills you once gave me and analyzed it. Using some Uzumaki knowledge, I was able to make an improvement. He handed each woman a new pill. I think you'll like the results. Unlike traditional pills, which can cause you to lose yourself to your primal instincts, these won't have that effect on you, but you still get all of the benefits. Neither woman bothered to ask questions before swallowing their pill. Both received a massive chakra boost, and all of their canine features became more prominent, their canines enlarged, and their claws became razor sharp, including Hana, who does not normally have the typical clan features. Both women notice changes in their bodies and feel a huge boost, but they also have a clear mind. In contrast to when they take their regular pills. Sume looks at Hana, her expression indicating that she approves of them going on the date and that whatever happens is entirely up to her. You'll have to go through me first if you want to be clad head, so keep this between us. Hana, Kuromaru, stay out of this unless he attacks you or Temari gets involved, Sume said, then stepped forward away from them and assumed her fighting stance. Bayfed smiled and stepped out, and as soon as he did, she leapt at him with a growl, and he raised his left arm to block her slash at his, one of her favorite tactics, but instead she threw a full power straight right fist at his face and nailed him basically between the eyes, buried her left in his gut, grabbed his coat in both hands, drove her right knee into his balls hard enough to lift him up on his toes. Is that all you've got, bitch? Sume exclaimed angrily. When she leaned back to avoid it, his hand dropped faster than she could react as his left shot up. His gave her a big smile as his fingers sank deep into her very large breasts covered only by her shirt. Her vest was never zipped and he'd easily gotten his hands inside. He viciously squeezed and twisted them, her screams music to his ears. Let's see how you like it, he yelled, driving his knee up between her legs, raising Sume on her toes in a silent scream, spinning her around once by her breasts and throwing her back first into a nearby wall, then looking at Hana. You'll be a good girl once I put this old bitch down, or you'll get the same treatment until you do, he said, returning his gaze to Sume. Sume heard him and stood up, full of maternal rage. You can threaten me all you want, maim me, kill me if you can, it comes with being clan head. But when you threaten my children, you cross a dangerous line. I hoped I'd never have to use this, but I'll make an exception for you. Forbidden style. Feral rage. Sume exclaimed powerfully, her hair became wilder, her nails lengthened, and her muscles swelled up, before charging him at blinding speed. Sume used a jutsu she didn't know about, then moved so fast she couldn't keep up. All she could see was rips in Bayfed's coat and blows being struck, open hand from the small slashes that appeared on his visible skin. Suddenly he was knocked down to his hands and knees with Sume standing over him. She blurred through a series of hand signs so fast her hands briefly became transparent blurs. Sume exclaimed powerfully, Inuzuka forbidden technique, Chan breaking release. And slapped her right hand on his lower back with a flash of chakra and the sound of a chain breaking. Bayfed stiffened for a moment before collapsing face down. She turned and gasped. Temari had also collapsed. Sume took a few deep breaths before turning to face her. Sume said, Hana, take that garbage to the nearest Anbu and tell them to lock him up. Hana nodded, picked him up, and ran off, turning to Naruto and slumping tiredly. Kuromaru, escort your sister back to the estate and get her some food, water, and a place to sleep when she wakes up in a few minutes. Kuromaru nodded and walked over to her side. Naruto, do you have another one of those pills? I'm nearing exhaustion, that jutsu is a huge drain on my chakra, I'm maybe 2 minutes away from passing out. And if you tell anyone this, you won't be able to sit for a week, understood? Naruto gave her a friendly smile. Nodded, then took out another pill and handed it to her. She chewed it up and swallowed it right away. I made 4 pills just in case, because I know how serious you Inuzuka are in a fight, you win or you die. Damn right, pup. No one comes into my yard, starts a fight, and thinks they'll get away unscathed. Not while I'm alive, Sume said proudly. And Naruto. Be good to Hana or I will neuter you, she said, smiling. He laughed and then leapt out of sight. She sighed and shook her head softly. I'm getting too old for this shit, she said, ignoring Kuromaru's chuckle because she had no secrets from him. Sakura's point of view. Sakura stood in front of a full-length mirror in nothing but her underwear, looking at how her body was so skinny that she could see some of her ribs, and began to understand what Naruto was saying about how she had been living a fairy tale life, thinking her Prince Charming would always come rushing in to save her, and shook her head. I can't believe I'm standing here thinking about Naruto in nothing but my underwear. I never thought that would happen. Looking in the mirror, she realized she was barely in a cup and the only girl in her class who hadn't even gotten her first period at the age of 13. Walking over to her closet, she moved several boxes around and found a box her mother had given her. Opening it reveals the battle gear her mother bought her when she graduated, but she never wore because she didn't think it would make Sasuke like her. She quickly puts on the outfit and returns to the mirror to check out her new look. Her battle dress was blue and purple with cherry blossom leaves on it, and she wore a headband on her brow. Returning her gaze to the window, she notices her team photo and thinks, "Thank you for pointing it out to me, Naruto," before leaping out the window. She is talking to herself as she walks towards the restaurant district. "I'm going to prove to you that I am a kunoichi." When she arrives, she immediately starts using the strength she usually reserves for beating up people who irritate her. Naruto as usually. She was making her way through the restaurant district at a breakneck pace. After punching a sound ninja in the stomach, he crashed through a fence, and a crate fell on top of him. She turned around to see Sasuke approaching, but he's not advancing on an enemy kunoichi. She's a civilian. Sakura had seen her selling jewelry from one of Suna's merchant carts. When she sees him draw a kunai, she notices the same black markings on his face that she saw in the Forest of Death. She rushed towards her teammate as Sasuke raised the kunai, ready to strike the defenseless woman. No. Restaurant district, Sasuke's point of view. The self-proclaimed Avenger was filled with rage as he ripped through every enemy ninja he could find. The source of this rage was his blonde teammate. The fact that he was able to beat Gaara so quickly and made it look so easy only fueled his rage, as did the villagers' reaction. How dare they turn against the Uchiha clan, having to stand there and watch as his teammate dominated his opponent while thinking about how he should have that power, as well as being rejected by the Hyuga heiress who claimed to be a member of the Uzumaki clan. How dare that moron claim clan status? But, as his mind became flooded with dark thoughts of making his teammate pay, black markings appeared around his face and shoulder as he began to tap into the cursed seal of heaven. He then noticed a Wind Country civilian hiding in an alleyway. While looking at the woman, he raised the kunai. "This will teach you a lesson." The woman yells. "No, thank you. I'm just a civilian, and I have no part in this invasion." The kunai is swung downward by Sasuke, but it never connects. Someone grabbed his arm, causing lightning-like waves of agony to rip through his body, causing the power that was coursing through him to fade away before his vision went black for a brief moment. He then finds himself bouncing down the road and colliding with a food cart. He hears the horse whinny and then hooves hitting the ground a moment before the rope tightens around his leg and he's being dragged down the road before he can react. Sakura's point of view. Sakura charged at them, her body so flooded with adrenaline that she had forgotten who the man was, her entire being focused on one thing. Stopping him was one thing for her. She wasn't as skilled as she should be, or as good at taijutsu, but she did have a punch capable of knocking a Jonin out cold. Her instincts took over the moment she got close enough. She grabbed his left arm and spun him toward her, her right fist already cocked back, then unleashed it not at his face, but at his groin, likely cracking his walnuts, then drew back and unleashed her most powerful attack, an overhand right to the face. Or, as Ino once put it, the cherry bomb. Sasuke Uchiha was airborne in an instant, hit the ground about 30 feet away, bounced a few times, then crashed into a food cart. A hose dragged him out of sight a few moments later, a rope looped around his leg. Sakura's rage subsided just enough for everything to sink in, and she looked at her still clenched right fist and thought. "I can't believe I just did that," she thought to herself, before inner Sakura appeared in her mind. He deserved it, for attacking an innocent woman. The sound of clapping jolted her out of her reverie, and she looked to the right to see one of Naruto's shadow clones. "Good job, Sakura, I'm glad to see you're finally taking this seriously. And for once, it's great to see someone else on the wrong side of your punches. Especially that first one, he'll feel that for a while," Naruto's clone said before briefly covering his crotch with both hands. Sakura cast a glance down the road, where Sasuke had vanished. "I knew he had anger issues, but I never expected him to attack an innocent person. Don't worry, one of us will find him. That horse will eventually stop," the clone smirked. Sakura's smirk fades as she looks at the clone. "There's something I need to tell you, Naruto." To interrupt her, the clone raises his hand. "I'm just a clone, If you want to talk to the real Naruto, wait until after the invasion. My orders were just to keep an eye on you. And seeing as you're now taking this seriously, I can give you this, the clone said as he handed her a scroll. Sakura examines it. What exactly is this? I'm going to cancel myself and let the boss know you got it. Have fun. Oh, and before I forget, Sakura, the next time you decide to change and strip out of your clothes, you might want to close the curtains on your window. You gave a pretty good show to half the block. If they happened to look up, the clone said before smiling and dispelling. Sakura's entire face turned blood red as she mentally slapped herself across the face. I can't believe I forgot to close my curtains. Wait a minute, that means he saw me naked. She shakes her head quickly. I'll deal with that later. I don't have much to see anyway, she sighed sadly. Quickly placing the scroll on the ground and opening it, she recognizes a storage seal and easily releases the contents with a large puff of smoke. Even through the smoke she can see a large object sitting on the ground. Once the smoke has cleared, she notices a large black metal bat with a gray handle. It is the weapon used by Jinta in Bleach. The weapon is nearly as tall as she is and has spikes on it. She also notices a sticky note on it and reads it. She immediately recognizes Naruto's sloppy handwriting, which resembled chicken scratches rather than words. Begin with a note. If you're reading this note, Sakura, it means you've finally begun to take your career seriously, and I've decided to give you one more chance, so don't waste it. This weapon is called Muteki Tekken, and I believe you'll be able to use it effectively with your strength. Naruto. Finishing touch. Sakura grabs the handle and, to her surprise, she is able to easily lift it and swing it. This isn't as heavy as I expected. She reflected. A sand shinobi appears out of nowhere. Would you look at that, a boy in a dress with a bat. The game's been cancelled, so why don't you put down the bat and run home to your mommy, little boy? Sakura's brow twitches as her rage quickly resurfaces, ready to erupt. You asshole, I'm a girl. The shinobi burst out laughing. If you're a girl, you're what? Maybe 13, you should have some female curves. You're flat as a board, and the only thing big on you is your giant forehead. The shinobi was so busy laughing he missed bloodlust on Sakura's face. He had no idea he just hit Sakura's two biggest buttons. Sakura appears in front of the shinobi and swings the bat, hitting him in the chest and sending him soaring through the air over several buildings until he was out of sight and turned into a twinkle in the sky. Inner Sakura appears in the back of her mind. Wow, Chaw. That's a home run. She turns to face two female San Kunoichi who had arrived in time to see their comrade flying through the air, and she points that bat at them. Surrender or you'll go over the buildings like your teammate. Without your tits. Both men look down at their ample chests before quickly raising their hands in the air. Hokage Monument Staircase, a few moments ago. Hinata was leading a large group of civilians to the evacuation center on the mountainside when Aisha came to a halt and pointed up. Look, Nariko, a shooting star. When the entire group turns to see a twinkle in the sky and someone says, "Make a wish," both girls close their eyes and scrunch up their faces, making all the females in the area laugh. Hinata had noticed it with her Byakugan. That was a shinobi, not a shooting star, and the way he was flying, I think he must have made fun of Sakura's chest or forehead. At least it wasn't Naruto-kun this time, she reasoned. Despite having the biggest chest of any girl her age, not that any of her friends knew, she'd never say anything mean about her lack of curves. Besides, if Sakura hit her there, she'd be dead. Naruto's point of view from the top of the Hokage monument. Naruto was standing in front of a table, looking at a map of the village, when two clones with Anko and Ibiki appeared, both quickly walking over to him, and he looked at Anko. Was it really necessary for you to inform my clone that you intended to try to persuade me to knock you up if we slept together? Ibiki squeezes his nose. Uzumaki, why did you bring us here? Naruto surveys the village. I thought you guys might be interested in an update on the village. I'm currently at 67% evacuation of civilians, and I know for a fact that we've lost at least 30 civilians who my clones weren't able to reach in time, as well as 20 shinobi. When both Jonin look around the village, they see 36 buildings on fire in the poor district, as well as several other districts. Why are they specifically targeting those buildings? Anko wondered. I attacked those buildings, not the sand and sound. Both are staring at Naruto. Ibiki's arms are crossed. Uzumaki, you'd better have a good reason for attacking those buildings. I had my clones attack those buildings because they are drug dens and growing houses. The village is aware of them, but the people who run them are too well connected and have friends in high places. I thought the perfect time to destroy them would be in the middle of an invasion with no way of determining who it was, Naruto explained calmly. Anko embraces Naruto while laughing. And people said he's a moron. Naruto takes a look at them. Before I set fire to them, my clones took all the cash in them, so I saw no reason to burn it. Now both Jonin are laughing, with Ibiki rubbing Naruto's back. My Hokage clone just informed me that he's in big trouble. Orochimaru is using a forbidden jutsu, Edo Tensei, a summoning, impure world reincarnation, so it looks like I'll have to step in to help him. Are you insane? You must be low on chakra from using all these clones, and now you're saying you want to go out and fight a Sannin? Yelled Anko. Naruto simply smiles. You see this necklace? He says, pointing to the silver necklace he's wearing. This is known as a chakra limiter. Everything I've done today has been at 20%, this cuts off 80% of my chakra, and once I take this off, I will have full power. He reaches into his pocket and pulls out a small device that only Anko recognizes, types something into it, and a doorway appears, and Naruto simply walks through it. Anko calls out to him as the door closes. Can you tell me where you're going? I'll get some backup, Naruto replied. The location is unknown. A man's voice could be heard yelling in an office. Why did I take this damn job if all I ever do is paperwork and more paperwork and meetings after meetings? A woman dressed in gray interrupts. Please stop whining, you know what you do helps us a lot. She said as she placed a stack of paperwork on his desk. Besides, this is the last of it, and you have the rest of the day free. Both look up as a doorway appears in the middle of the office and a blonde kid in a trench coat walks out. The man gets to his feet. Who in the world are you? Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Lord Naruto Uzumaki, and you and I, Lord Raikage, need to talk, Naruto said.
So that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel for more awesome stories like this. Thank you. See you all in my next video.